Alright. Hello, hello. Welcome. Hello, welcome. Yeah, decent start. Wanted to get this done yesterday, but I spent a lot of time doing research for it, so. But I'm nearing the end. I still have to do the background though, but we're nearing the end for it, for me working on this page. I'm not gonna do the dialogue on stream, but I'll finish this up. Or at least go as long as I can. Go for it. In the yes/no ending? I'm gonna say no. Because I never show what happens to... I never show what happens to Tiffany, but I basically imply that she was shipped off to Gretchen. Or at least that version of Gretchen. Yep, this is Hetty. Still got quite a bit of work to do on this. So, gonna do my best. Try to get as much as that reference that I need on screen, so that way. Why is my chat screen weird on this? There we go. That was weird. Just move it over. In the actual canon of I Hat, with Marci and Skylar and all that, yes, Tiffany is alive. If you go off of true ending, you'll see that she's alive. Neutral ending is not canon, so it's irrelevant. It's only weird if you make it weird. Hey, Frost. Don't regret your decision to draw Hetty. That was bad. That was a bad joke. This is true. I mean, I'm not doing anything that YouTube doesn't allow. And besides, of course, this is unnoticed. I'm so below the radar. I don't even know that. I'm pretty sure they don't even know I exist. I'd have to do something super outlandish to even be glanced at. Or not even glanced at, just like they cough and they just happen to turn in my direction as they're coughing. That's how unnoticed I am on the totem pole. Honestly, at this point, YouTube is the least of my worries. Hello, hello. Welcome. Maybe. And that's even if the Karen can even articulate their argument. Because again, I'm not doing anything that YouTube doesn't allow. But who knows? Worst case scenario, I stop streaming and I just start making shorts. Or whatever. Not at the moment, I do not. Depends on what the person asks for. It's been a while since I looked at my prices. But it's on, like, DeviantArt and all that, if you just look it up. Like, commission prices or commission guide. But either way, I'm not currently open for them. Well, have fun. Okay. Should be fine. I don't think I need to. Yeah, just in case. Shouldn't be too big of a deal. Been a while since I looked at Choco N stuff. Actually, I think the cabinet is over there. Remember that when I'm doing the background. I mean, can always fix it if I'm wrong. The battle is won. Would I ever make a femboy character? I've made several. Or a tomboy, I've also made several. Some have either appeared in the comics, have their own artwork currently, but like haven't appeared in the comics, or I just haven't uploaded them yet. So they exist. A lot of the times, games like that just don't kind of do it for me. But I'd have to see it. And just skimming Google for a moment, it looks like it's not going to really be my jam. I'll have to watch gameplay of it later and see, but just glancing at it, I don't think it's going to be my jam. Well, sometimes if they notice you putting enough attention on something, they'll think that they'll get attention if they go there. So that could have been the case. Like, he's always doing something on this thing. Maybe I'll get attention if I go over here. If you're talking about the one that's being made by, I think it's Kazakat, if I remember right. Yeah, I've been seeing that being worked on for a few years now. Well, probably longer than a few years, but I don't know if it's finished. But if that's what you're talking about, then yeah, I've seen that for a good while. I need to play Skullgirls again. I haven't played that in a while, in a few years now. Like, I got all the characters and all that, I just haven't played. I still dislike the censoring of certain things, but here we are. That would be Blake, not Becky. Because I was like overprotective. I'm like, who the hell are we talking about? Well, technically, Becky's name starts with an R, because her name is Rebecca. But that's okay. Not a problem. I wish I made her one drunk night. At least then that would be an excuse. But no, I made her just so I could be a negative asshole. That is literally why I made her. And then I can hear the sly joke of being like, oh, okay, so just you normally. Although she is iffy about her looks, Becky is more... I don't even know if depressed is really the right word for it, but just detached for other reasons. I think detached fits her better. But like, her looks are definitely one reason, but there's more to it. Okay, I think I got most of what I'm looking for. The light coming from that direction. Yeah. Only thing to be wary of is that it could be a weakness for when she's alone with a particular person, and it doesn't exactly play out the same way when there's like a group of people, or if she's around somebody she doesn't give a fuck about. So, something to consider. It's like, just because she's vulnerable to one person doesn't mean it's gonna happen to everybody else. Okay, now the oh so fun part of darkening certain areas. And I will be right back. I need to go check something. I'm back. Okay. And I need to clean that. can go less than this, but come on. Get the general look of what I'm going for first. Hello, hello. Yes, I am. Alright. I'll leave that alone now. I'm just gonna keep messing with it if I don't. What's up? I'm sure you'll come up with something. Depends on the character. If I want the character to be like kind of basic, I just pick a normal name. If I want the character to have an outlandish name, I use a generator. If I want them to be like a god or something, then I just make up a name that sometimes sounds like gibberish or whatever. And then sometimes names in other languages help. I mean, pretty much just whatever, honestly. It's like a name's a name. Like Skylar's name, I just picked that because it sounded like basic. Like a basic jock name or something. That's basically what I picked his name for. I mean, that boils down to how you actually make the horror game. Like, nobody's gonna give a shit about the name if they're taking the rest of the game seriously in terms of like story, how the scares are done, how the atmosphere is. Like, you can give them a crazy or even dumb name, but if everything else is good, they're gonna take it as seriously as the rest of the game is. I mean, look at Five Nights at Freddy's. You got Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. Those are all typical cartoonish names, and yet the game that they appear in makes them frightening. So it heavily just depends on your ability to make whatever game or book or story or whatever, your ability to make that frightening if you're aiming at a horror game. So that pretty much falls on you. I mean, there's a doll in Goosebumps named Slappy. Like, come on. Or even if we think of the character Chucky from Child's Play, I mean, he technically shares a name with Chucky from Rugrats, but we can distinguish the two of them very easily. So don't worry about names doubling up on another character. Well, yeah, if you're making it its own thing, then you just gotta make sure that it stays its own thing. I don't know. I mean, it heavily depends on what you're trying to do. Like, I can say pretty much anything, but it just falls on your devotion to the idea and how you're gonna execute it. and if you take it further than just being an idea. I mean, the mall thing, he's had that worked on for years, so it kind of depends on when you exactly came up with that. And even if that's the case, who cares? If you want to make a mall, then do it. Like, you need to work under the assumption that every idea you ever come up with has been done in some way, shape, or form, and it's your job to figure out how to make it stand out. Like, look at how many killer doll movies we've had. A good chunk of them are samey, but then you have the small few that are unique. So don't stress out about that. Just try to make yours stand out. People are always going to compare someone's story to something else, especially if you make it a little too obvious that it's referencing another particular series or franchise. Like, sure, that's gonna happen, but again, you just gotta learn how to be able to make it your own and not stress out about it being compared to something. I mean, like, how many anime series have been compared to Dragon Ball just because a character can shoot beams out of their hands, or can fly, or can transform, or can move really fast? Like, come on, that happens all the time. I will look on Discord after the stream. But yeah, don't, like, if everybody got stressed out over having their things compared to other things, or if somebody managed to pull off an idea before another person could with a similar idea, then we probably wouldn't have very much at this point in time. You'd be like, oh no, this person made a car, I guess I can't make a truck because they have wheels, like that kind of logic. Oh yeah, I mean, it happens to a lot of people. You're not like the only person that's ever had this problem. You just can't let it control you, because that's another thing that a lot of people who probably had really good ideas or really good variants of an idea likely stopped just because of situations like that. And then, of course, you know, there's not trademarks, patents bullshit stuff, which honestly should not be a thing because patents limit creativity. But that's a whole other discussion. But other than that, like, when it comes to art, you know, you kind of just gotta push yourself forward and do it. And that's if you're, like, super passionate enough to even want to do it. Like, if you're just having fun making the idea and not going any further than that, then that's perfectly fine too. But if somebody comes up with a similar idea and then moves forward with it, like goes further than what you were willing to do, then you can't really be upset for not pulling the trigger. Because that was the choice that you made. Which is perfectly fine because it was your decision, but you just can't be upset when somebody manages to do more with your idea than you were able to. It's almost like the logic of Pokemon and Power World, how Nintendo is trying to get all pissy about Power World, you know, doing shit that they had decades to try to do, and they're only now trying to be a little bit better at it. But still, it's like, man, you guys had more than forever to do the stuff that fans have been asking you to do, and only when another company does it are you putting in some kind of effort to try. I will tell you right now, kids are going to go for horror regardless. Because, like, you gotta remember, Five Nights at Freddy's is technically not a kids franchise. It just draws in a bunch of kids because they were watching Let's Players and reactors and all that. It just kind of got, like, the subcategory as being for kids, despite not actually being for kids. Because there's still stuff in those games that you definitely would not want a child being exposed to. But kids love it anyway because that's just how they fall into it. So you gotta ignore whether or not kids are gonna like your shit. It's just gonna happen. Like, honestly, it's dumber to push away children. Like, don't actively try to seek them, but it would be dumb to try to exclude them. If they like it, they like it. And that's just, like, let's just say you're trying to actually make this a franchise to make money off of. If they like it, they like it, and that's just more money for you. Fuck it. Like, you gotta stop caring about that. Gotta save up so I can hire a team, because I'm not a one-man. You gotta remember, Scott was a one-man army for the longest time until after Ultimate Custom Night. It wasn't until after that game did he actually have a team. And that they're making the current games. Like, you just gotta remember that a lot of people did start off on their own and with limited resources, and they managed to make it work. And you also gotta remember that Five Nights at Freddy's was supposed to be Scott's last game. Like, he was kind of done with making games, and he decided to make that one as his, like, last hurrah. Or not even a last hurrah, it was just, like, one last, like, okay, I'm gonna make this game, and if it doesn't do well, then okay, I'm done with making games. And that blew up. So, imagine if he didn't try. And the only reason why he tried was because people were making fun of his previous game, saying that his characters looked like horrifying animatronics and stuff like that. And so he just made a game based off of people's critiques of his other game. So, there you go. He took a negative and turned it into a positive, and look where it got him. Yeah, like exactly. Like competition is what drives people, or even just motivates them to do something that the original person wasn't doing. Like again, the reason why we even have Marci and Skylar is literally because I couldn't read Hetty anymore. I was like, fuck it, I'll just make my own. And now we've come full circle because now I've gotten permission to use Hetty in a story I wanted to do. I will say, unless you get your first game out, the other 5 are completely irrelevant. You're falling into the trap of over planning, where you're just gonna plan, and nothing happens. So I would say work on getting your first game out first before anything else. Because if you can't even get that far, then everything you're doing has been for nothing. Or at the very least has only been for your own personal entertainment. Which isn't bad, but if you're trying to make it more than that, then you're falling into the traps already. There are plenty of game making software that are free if you look for it. And that's assuming you even want to make a game. Like you could make something easier, like a small video of some sort, like let's just say an animatic or a very low animated short or something. Like there are plenty of answers to what you want to do that you don't have to make it complicated for. It just, again, it falls onto what you want to do and your motivation for it. Yes, there are free 3D softwares. They may not be the best, but they exist. Obviously, if you want the more professional stuff, you got to spend some money, and then you just got to look around for the cheap stuff or whatever you can afford. Like, there's an answer to everything. It just boils down to what you want to do. Like, if you want to make an RPG, there's RPG Maker, there's whatever other RPG-based programs that exist. There's whatever Scott was using when he made the original Five Nights at Freddy's games. What was it, like Fusion something or whatever it was? Like, they all exist. And who knows what Scott was using for the 3D models for the first game when he was making them, because they're all like just 3D renders that he turned into PNGs or whatever the case may be. So he was probably using like Maya or 3D Studio Max or Blender or whatever he was using. So again, like, all these things exist, it's just, you just gotta do it. The best I can tell you is do the best you can with your first project. However it turns out, that's how it turns out. And then when you make your second game or second project, whatever you learned from the first project is how you're going to apply it to your second and make it better. Don't stress too much on how it's going to look in the end, because you're always going to be improving. And that's how it works. Like, because if you're trying to make the first project, like the greatest thing in the world, then it's never going to come out, because you're always going to be finding something to fix, something to change, something to improve on and make better, that you're just never going to go anywhere. Yeah, like Godot and all that. Yeah, there's tons of programs you can find if you look for it. Like, I would love to make a game right now. I even have RPG Maker and all that for that exact reason. Have I started anything? No, because I've been doing other stuff. Maybe someday I will make something, but who knows? Well, we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll never use it, but I have it. In the off chance that I get to make something, I have it at least. Do whatever you want. And if you think that making a game is too much, you can always just make it something easier. Make it a comic. Make it again like a video short or something, like whatever you think is best. Like, I can only tell you so much. You're the person that has to move forward after whatever feedback and critiques you get from asking around. Like, it's gonna boil down to whether or not you have the drive to actually do it. And you definitely don't want to do what I'm doing, because I already got like multiple stuff I'm working on, and it'd definitely be easier if I only focused on one for the longest time until it's like 100% completely done, and then move on to the others. But I have already been doing what I'm doing for so long that jumping around has been my thing. Will I eventually learn from this I wouldn't even really say mistake, but this quirk of mine? Sure. But today is not that day. Right now, I'm just trying to get shit off the ground because I've been wanting to get them off the ground for a good while now, and I will work things out when I get there. But definitely don't fall into the trap of planning, and then nothing happens. Yeah, like that was something I wanted to do. Like, I was thinking of making a visual novel game, but then I was like, I really don't want to go through the trouble of having a program and blah 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 blah. So I'm just gonna make a video. Like, it's something I'm able to do. I know how to do it. The only thing that's stopping me right now is just making the assets, which I want to get started on this week, and then move forward. Like, I know how to do all this stuff. I just need time. That's literally all it is for me. So this week I want to make that time. I'm gonna do it. Just like how I'm working on this right now. It's been something I've been sitting on for, I don't know, a year, I believe. Maybe sooner than that. Let's find out. How long have I had permission to work on this? It was in here, I think. Yeah. Let's see. As soon as it opens. I have had... yeah, about a year. Yeah, a little more than a year now. So yeah, I've had a year. And now I'm finally doing something. Got everything right. Yeah. Darken this a bit. You can come up with the world building, but what I'm saying is, like, I guess the best I can say is you want to have it as more of like notes and at least like established sketches rather than trying to go full on. If you haven't even done the first step yet. It's kind of like how in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, it's like we had bits and pieces of an established lore, but nothing concrete. And it wasn't until Five Nights at Freddy's 2 that we had like more information. And then you build and build and build as the series progresses. Because you gotta remember, Scott didn't plan like a good chunk of the series. Like, he planned the first game and that was kind of it. The second game, he just kind of threw in more. And then the third game was supposed to be like the end of it, but then he just kept going. And then the fourth game was supposed to be like, alright, I'm gonna say what's in this box and all that, but then since everybody kept theorizing and theorizing, and even game theory technically figured out the answer of what was in the box, Scott decided to not open up the box because whatever his answer was not going to live up to anybody else's expectations. Technically, the moment you make something, it is already under copyright. You sending it off to get like officially recorded as copyright and all that, that is optional, but is definitely a good choice to do. So that way, it's more official. There's also the poor man's way of doing it, where you make copies of all of your work and stuff like that, and then mail it to yourself, so that way it's officially like stamped and stuff like that for in the post office and all that. And then when you get it in the mail, just never open it. Just keep all of your documents and stash it somewhere safe. So in the off chance that you do need it, you can pull it out and keep it sealed. Like don't open it, but have it so that whenever, like let's just say you have to go to court or something for it, you'll have it officially marked on whenever it was stamped and all that. Will that help? Yes. Will it actually like 100% clear a case scenario? Who knows? It heavily depends on the situation, but it's definitely not a bad idea to do. But yeah, like you technically have the copyright to whatever it is you make the moment you make it. It's just good if you like date it, have something to show that it's existed at a certain point in time. Like for example, me posting my stuff on DeviantArt and all that, that's technically a record of something existing. Because DeviantArt has the dates and time, well, I think Fur Infinity has the time, but like DeviantArt has the dates of when something is posted and all that, so that definitely helps. Again, you need to assume that any idea you come up with has been done, and it's just your job to try to make yours as unique as possible. And if you do put out something and someone gets an idea based off of your work, then take that as a compliment that you motivated somebody to make something similar, because you technically did the same. So it's gonna happen. Obviously, if someone's taking your characters and putting your characters in their own work, then that's a whole other discussion. Because that would be more like copyright infringement, and then it boils down to how you give permission like that to other creators and blah blah blah. It's kind of like how Sega is super chill with fans making Sonic games, as long as they're not profiting, they're not like paywalling the fan game. Like Sega doesn't give a shit, and actually encourages their fans to make Sonic games. So there's a whole thing. I would say don't stress out about it until you have to. If somebody wants to make something using your characters and it's like something small or something like that, then you should just not care. You should only care if it becomes something bigger. But then there are limits to it, because if you're letting too many people make something big, and it gets to the point where people can confuse their work with yours, then that's a bit of a legal thing that you'd have to do. Like it has to do with a bit of copyright stuff, because it's like if you don't enforce your copyright to a certain degree, then you will technically lose it. But that's neither here or there. Like, we are talking way beyond where you are right now. So don't stress out over it, because you're not even at that point. Like, the best example I can say for that scenario is kind of like when people were making the My Little Pony fighting game, and Hasbro had to put their foot down because there was a chance that people would mistake the fighting game for them making it. And so the people who were making that game made them's fighting herds, and then there we go. Well, make sure you date them. Like, have a your name and date and all that on everything. So that way there's an established timeline. But yeah, like, again, what I'm telling you right now is, like, pretty much beyond where you are right now. Because, again, if nothing comes out, then there's nothing really to talk about. It's just, okay, you had an idea, but you didn't do anything with it. So eventually, if somebody comes up with something similar, sure, you might have an argument like, oh, well, I made blah, 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 blah. But it's like, okay, cool, but you didn't make it in a game form, or you didn't make it in a video form, or you didn't make a comic out of it. There's a lot of things you didn't do, so your argument becomes less and less because there's just a bunch of stuff you didn't do. So that's all I'm saying is, like, whatever it is you want to do, just push yourself forward and do it. Yeah, if you didn't date stuff, it's going to be harder to argue whether or not you actually made it. And then making updates probably won't help. So you gotta be careful if you're gonna try to pull something like that off. Because it'd be harder to argue how you came up with something particular at a specific time, unless you dated it previously. Which I don't know how people are gonna have people figure that out, but that's why people send their stuff off to get copyrighted officially, just for these exact reasons. Yeah, I'm not saying do it right now, even though you're not ready. I'm just saying there's gonna be a certain point where you just gotta get something started, or else you're gonna trap yourself in the whole planning phases forever. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you need to do this now. I'm just saying, don't take too long, because before you know it, more years are gonna pass by and your stuff is still in the planning phase. Like me, I just did shit because I just wanted to draw comics. I didn't care. Like, even when I look back at my older stuff, I'm like, oh my god, what was I thinking? But I was like, well, that was me. This is what I did. $50, Jesus. I mean, at that point, you might as well just get it sent to get copyrighted. I forget how much it is to copyright now, because when I did it, it was $75. Might have gone up a little bit since then. According to this, it ranges between 75 or 45 and 125, but it depends on the filing method and stuff like that. I would say do your research just in case, and it might depend on where you live too. But yeah, when I did it, it was $75. Sorry, for some reason I thought that was a whole different thing. But yeah. And then again, there's also the thing where like if you copyright something and you don't use it for an extreme amount of time, then you could technically lose your copyright because there was like no evidence of any of any progression. So there's that you I wouldn't say you'd have to worry about it, but it is a factor after a certain point, because that is a thing. But again, technically, you already have the copyright. So if you're confident in just holding on to that and not spend money to go send it out officially, that's perfectly fine. You just have less protection if something were to happen. And that's assuming anything even happens. It probably shouldn't be a problem, just depends on context. I think if assuming it big, becomes big and all that, I think the only thing people would think of is just like, oh, that must be their persona or their OC or something. Like that's pretty much the only connection I could see people having, but I don't think it's a big deal. Yeah, and like I said, it's gonna happen in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not everything, obviously, but if something similar to whatever idea you have planned comes up, then it is what it is. Nothing really you can do about it. Unless you have like a really good stronghold on copyright of some sort, but I would say that is more trouble than it's worth. And you're just better off just making your own thing and putting it out there. Yeah, if you've been doing it for that long, then you're already in a bad spot technically. I would say try to push yourself into getting something put out there, like sooner than later. Okay, when I say bad spot, I would say bad spot in terms of actually wanting to have something put out there. If you're just having fun planning, then you're fine, whatever. But if you actually have intentions of getting something out there, I would say spending a decade on the planning stages is definitely not a good sign. Because you gotta remember, for some game companies, it takes them at least 3 to 4 years to make a game, depending on the kind of game and stuff and all that they're making. So you gotta think about that. If it's taking you a decade just to plan it, then imagine how long it's gonna take for you to make it into a game. And that's just assuming you make it into a game. If we're talking about a comic, then we gotta figure out how long does it take you to make a single page, type of thing, and so on and so forth. So you kind of gotta put some things into perspective about where you're at. And potentially you could be possibly planning to, or you could be planning on something or working on something that is just above your level. Because if you're trying to make some like large magnum opus thing, then maybe you're not ready for it. Like, I've definitely done that already with World Gates being like its own big giant thing. And technically I did push forward with it. I made like 3 or 4 different stories with it. Not all of it's like great or anything, but it was something I did. But then if I wanted it to be grander, I was likely just not ready for that. And so when I worked on iHat, that was definitely a smaller story to work on, and even then that took me quite a few years, mostly because I was still working on other things simultaneously. So I probably could have got it done sooner, but still, that still took a good chunk of time. Yeah, I mean, life happens. Like, you can only do as much as you're able to, as much as you're able. Like, obviously, if something is beyond your control, it is what it is. Um, and again, even if it takes you a decade or even 30 years to make one thing, then that's just time that was needed to make that one thing. It is what it is. Be happy that you're able to do what you wanted to do, regardless of how much time it took. Just don't let the amount of time it took, or even other things that come into play, like people coming up with something similar. Don't let stuff like that deter you from wanting to make it. Just put in the work. Make whatever it is you wanted to make to the best of your ability, and be happy with what you come out with. And even if you're somehow not happy with it, use that as a building block to make something better. Yeah, exactly. Just got to get back on track. And the same thing is and it's the same story with me. Like World Gates and Buckle. Like, I've had them for years, and it's only until now that I'm trying to get them back off the ground, while still working on iHack, Creamfield, Black Circus, and whatever else I'm doing. So it's not like I'm special and I'm like, oh, I don't have any of these problems. Like, no, I definitely have these problems. I am 100% aware of my problems and mistakes and other mishaps that I've done with my own work. I'm just trying to tell you this stuff so that way you don't make the same mistakes I did already. And even if you did make those mistakes, it's like, here are some ways to get out of it. I can only tell you what has both worked for me and transpired for me, and hopefully, even if you can only take 1% of what I say and it helps, then I'm glad that I told you in the first place. Like, I have a friend who's been trying to write a story pretty much since I met her, and she is so far in the planning stages that she's still only a couple pages in, and I've known her for almost, let's see, it's 2026. I met her in blah. It has been 17 years. Yes, 17 years now. It'll be 17 years, and she's only done like a couple pages. And to be fair, a shit ton of life stuff has happened with her, so she has had like practically zero time to work on her story. But like, me and her were just talking about it like a few days ago, and that's how long it's been. So it happens. Shit happens. Life happens. So don't feel discouraged just because you spent forever trying to do something. All I can say is do your best. Or do what you can. That's like a better phrase that I should say. Just do what you can. Bakugan Battle Brawlers. I think I saw like one episode of that and like a clip of another episode, and that is it. That is the extent I've gotten myself into that series. Only you can tell yourself whether or not that is the case. Because again, anybody in your position could say that no, you're doing just fine. So that's literally up to you. I cannot give you the answer to that. Because that's not up to me. Yeah, and I've seen, and that's fine. Like I've seen plenty of inflation themed superheroes as well, and a lot of them are unique. So yeah, it's not like nobody can come up with these ideas. It's like just go for it. Like Jay the Bird does it. What was his name? It's like I think was it like damn it. What's his name? Let me look him up because I can find it if I look it up. His name is CK19, I believe. Like that person has a superhero like that, who also does Vor. I'm sure there are others that I'm just blanking out on that I've seen throughout the years. But yeah, like, just have fun. It's like the best I can say is like whatever idea you have, just do it and have fun. Like hell, I started World Gates just because I thought they stopped making Archie Sonic comics for a good while. And by the time I was already making my own thing, I found out, oh hey, they're on issue 133 of the Archie Sonic series. I was like, oh shit, I guess they didn't stop. But that didn't stop me from wanting to make comics. I just kept going after that point. I was making Buckle because I liked Kamen Rider. As well as Sailor Moon and Ben 10, so I just kind of mixed it all together with horror. Or was trying to do horror, but now I'm rebooting it so I can do it better. Originally I Hat was not supposed to be weight gain themed, it was supposed to be a whole other story. But because I read Hetty, I was like, okay, I shift priorities here, so made Marci and Skylar. Creamfield was only made because I was like Creamfield was like more of a happy accident is not the choice of words I want to say. It was making the best out of a mistake, I guess I should say. The reason why I made Creamfield is because I feared that once I-Hat was done and moving on to a different story, such as with Emerald and Andy, that people weren't going to be interested anymore unless it was like weight gain themed. And so I just made characters for that. And that's how they exist. And then Black Circus is just characters from I-Hat, but villains. Or supposed to be evil in some way. Or lost, or not even lost their way, but like chaotic, neutral, or at least unbound by certain rules of the world type of thing, or not hindered by it. So that's why that exists. And then there we go. And then Tiny Pets is just like a fun little side thing I want to do eventually, but that's neither here or there. And then of course I got the card game stuff. So I'm all over the place. Yeah, and sometimes there are series that people are interested in that just haven't been touched in decades. And they either make their fanfic versions of that, or they just make their own characters inspired by those properties. Like, there are plenty of characters inspired by Kamen Rider. Or Super Sentai. I mean, Sailor Moon is technically Super Sentai, but in its own category because it's in Magical Girls. And Sailor Moon's not even the first Magical Girl. I forget who the first one is. I forget her name. Like, I have her in my head, I just don't remember her name because I've only seen her a few times. Alright, I'm about to stop in a few minutes anyway. But yeah, I hope you have a good day. Take care. Probably go get some groceries once I'm done. And fridge will be over there, so I'm not gonna mess with that. I'll stop once this song is over. Alright, I'm gonna call it for now. I'm gonna keep working on this, and once it's ready, I will put it on Patreon and all that. But yeah, I hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.